And then I told my mom, I was like, Mom, like, this woman I saw when I was in the car accident. And she's like, oh, wow, that's interesting, because she came to my dad and her in a dream at the same time. Like, they woke up at the same time and confirmed they had the same dream.
Oh,
And she wanted them to name, my mom was pregnant with my baby sister, and name her after her. So that she named her daughter, her youngest daughter, Jessica. And it's Jessie Mitchell. And so flash forward, like, along the way, there's like more pieces to this. So
so Valerie, thank you so much for joining me. I'm very excited to be able for you to share your story with everybody, because it's been quite an experience that you had. So I'm not going to give anything away. I'm just going to hand the floor over to you. And if you can just explain a little bit about what happened and what brought you to where you are now.
sure. And you talked a lot about healing from trauma and things like that. And so I just feel like I've just been constantly on that journey throughout my life. And I feel like these experiences are ways that God has blessed me to help me keep going, um, to endure, and to help lift others. Because I've had other friends I've just kind of taken under my wing because I see what they're going through, and I just know that there's just bigger beyond all of this,
Yeah,
if we just hang in there,
yeah.
Um, so, I mean, I'll probably start from the beginning. Like, I was raised in a family of 5 kids. My parents were converts to the Latter-day Saint Church. So it was very new to them. So they came into it with their different beliefs, and then felt that faith kind of sort of clarified things for them. So I always felt that since I was a child, I had that foundation of, what we call the gospel of Jesus Christ. Um, and the most important thing, whether you're in a faith or not, is to develop that connection, like that spiritual connection. And so like, as a child, I'd find myself praying over like little stuff. Like, I had those scented pencils, those like mechanical pencils that smell like a fruit.
Yeah.
And I was devastated because I lost all of them. And I remember getting down on my hands and knees and praying to God, saying that there's very important to me. And I was just a little girl, like second grade or something. And it was amazing because, like, that. So these stories are probably going to vary from podcast to podcast because
Absolutely.
I would, after that prayer, it was like visually I could see where the pins were. One was under the couch cushion, one was under the actual couch. One was like in like various spots. I could see like a vision in my mind, and I would just be like guided right to each pin. And I just remember, like, from then on, I'm like, I'm a believer of God. Like, I just knew in my heart he loves me, he cares about me, what no matter what I'm going through. So that foundation was there. um Meanwhile, like, I was going through a lot of troubles at home. There was some abuse. I won't like go into too much detail, but it was enough to traumatize me as a child. And um and and then, alongside with that, there was, well, I think what happened was, when I was really little, I was uh, something happened to me when my mom she did daycare, and these boys touched me inappropriately, and it affected me from there. And I was only age 4, so that's kind of where the trauma started. But it was like layered with then I started misbehaving, and I was a little rambunctious and this hyper little kid because when one thing after, you know what I mean, like it affects you as a child. So then um I was diagnosed like ADD and things like that. And when I go to school, I was bullied. So there's just all this layers of trauma. But the one thing that happened was like I just held on to that faith, that that belief, because my prayer was answered. When I was 15, I I was probably at a very spiritual peak in my life where I was doing everything that aligned with God. Um, and and I was getting straight A's in school. But then suddenly I got in this car wreck, and the what happened was my heart had stopped for 2 minutes, and they had to cut me out of the car. Like they were able to determine that my heart had stopped for 2 minutes. And in that 2 minutes, I saw a woman, and she, like me, she had like these curly tendrils. She looked kind of like me. I didn't know who she was. I didn't recognize her, but she knew who I was. And we were exchanging like telepathically. Um, and so, and basically what she told me was, this is going to be a trial in your life that will lead you to fulfill your purpose in life. And I had no idea what that meant. But what I did know is that where she was the most peaceful, happy, um, like the most amazing peace and comfort feeling of home. Where she was is like my real home. And I wanted to go with her. And it was like she kind of stopped me you know, at in the beginning. Like she wouldn't let me continue. And Earth just seemed like a pinpoint of nothingness. I did not want to go back to Earth, and I was like ready to go. Um, but she told me I had a work to do. Um, so I come to in the hospital with a glass in my mouth, and my family was there. I didn't think of that incident right away. I had some memory loss of like the past few days. And then I was flipping through a photo album trying to like make sense of it at all. And of my and my ancestors were there, and she like projected out at me, and I recognized it. It was my grandma, Jessie Mitchell, on my dad's side. And then I told my mom, I was like, Mom, like this woman I saw when I was in the car accident. And she's like, oh, wow, that's interesting, because she came to my dad and her in a dream at the same time. Like they woke up at the same time and confirmed they had the same dream.
Oh,
And she wanted them to name, my mom was pregnant with my baby sister, and name her after her. So that she named her daughter, her youngest daughter, Jessica. And it's Jessie Mitchell. And so flash forward, like along the way, there's like more pieces to this. So um, I was a junior Olympic diver, ready to get a full scholarship to be on the. I wasn't the greatest diver, but I thought, I believed in myself. I thought I'd have an Olympic list, but I had to quit diving. My balance was off. I had a concussion, and it kind of threw me off. I'm like, oh no, what am I going to do? So and I was still dealing with like bullying at school. Now I'm in high school. I have no friends. And I resorted to being alone a lot of time with the piano. Like I would just find a room and just play piano. And that was like healing to me. Um, Especially through this time, like I couldn't get back into my diving. So music just like was just has always been a big part of my life. My mom raised us to sing in church and be in every talent show. So it was just ingrained in me. But I started composing. I started writing, and I actually wrote my first song when I was 12 in a studio. But you don't think you're just going to keep going with it. And then I was just composing these classically influenced pieces on piano. But music just healed me, and I just didn't know what I was going to do. My parents, they were of the kind that tells you, you need to go to work, you need to figure out how you're going to pay for school. They don't do that. We have to work for everything. Um, and so that's when I decided to join the army. I
It's an
don't
interesting
recommend it.
choice. I was going to say it's an interesting choice.
Well, I just didn't know what I was doing. I had no money. I'm like, and the recruiters really talk it up and take you out to lunch, and then they make it seem really cool. But anyway, I just went for it. I thought, wow, like, I'll get into great shape, and and I'll develop some skills because I don't have no idea what I'm doing. But the thing is, the whole time I was in the military, I would get out of soldier duties to go perform in the Showboat Theater. There's Thomas Watson I don't know if he's still alive, but it's at Thomas Watson at the Showboat Theater at Fort Polk, Louisiana. And I would just take every chance I could because you go on what's called detail. And that could be any act of service outside of like what your actual job is in the military. Like they send you on a little mission of some kind of service, and so mine was performing in the Showboat Theater. So I would get out of doing the field, and out in the field there they do like war games, and I would just sit in the bunker and play with daisies and decorate my Kevlar hat. And so I think just throughout all this, I think I've been trying to figure out what my purpose is because, as a little girl, I would write in my journal, "Dear future children," and I thought I was going to be a mommy, and that has still not happened. But what has happened is this beautiful journey of making music and taking people under my wing and music therapy, and and so I advanced when I was in the military. Like I got to audition for the USA Express Band, which was alongside the USO tour show, like with the celebrity tours. And so basically what happened was after 9/11, people were sent out to Afghanistan and Iraq, or the soldiers. And celebrities like Conan O'Brien, Robin Williams, Joan Jett, and the Blackhearts were the ones that I met on my tour. They were out there first, greeting the soldiers out in the war zones. Like they're so
Wow.
brave, you know.
Wow.
And I was out there too. I was in Afghanistan after 9/11, and you could hear like bullets and things off in the distance, but we were in the middle of, there's like layers where the Marines go out and the Air Force is, watching above, and they're protecting their people. But we're in the middle of it all, building the force provider site, where we build the tents with all the air conditioning and the heating, the stuff to make you feel comfortable, and the latrines, the toilets. So that was my job in the military. But um, 6 months of that. And then when I got out, I was running up those stairs with my Kevlar and my gear. And I tripped and I broke my thumb and I went and auditioned anyway to be in a band. And like, I'm just like back at music again. And then so I got to be on the USA Express band and then went back to Afghanistan, Iraq, Qatar, Kuwait, like 5 countries in the Middle East, Uzbekistan, where I raised morale for the soldiers. And that was just such an inspiring experience because there were soldiers that, I mean, they treated us like we were celebrities. I'm like, we're one of you. We're soldiers too. We just are musically inclined.
Yes.
And they like wait on our hand and feet. They go out into town into like dangerous territory to get like food and water and bring it back to us. And the next thing you know, so some of those camps get bombed. And that was terrifying. Like we would be on a convoy and they'd said that same spot we were driving through, we got bombed. Like we were missing
Wow.
bombs. Like I'm still being protected in life. Um, but anyways, like, so after that experience, it made me really pursue my songwriting and I bring people. I moved back home. I was living in the garage, and I just made it into a studio. And I just there are friends of mine just going through a lot of stuff, a lot of trauma, and they'd come and we'd talk and we'd write music and songs, and I did that like most of my 20s, and then like I just hit a wall and then I'm like, okay, no, I still, there's still more I want to do in my life. I want to get married. I want to have a family. Um, but that wasn't happening. So I had to um, finally take the plunge and move out to Utah because I'm like, I want to meet someone of my faith. And the thing is I had already met him like 2 years before, but because of all the traumas that I had, it turned out I was diagnosed with borderline personality disorder. And so, which kind of explains, like, I don't know, me going back and forth with my different identities and like, who am I? Am I going to be a mother? Am I going to be a songwriter? Am I going to be both? Um, and like, yeah, I was impulsive in a lot of different relationships, and some were abusive, and I had to get back into my faith. But what stuck with me were those words from that woman, like, you're going to this will help you fulfill your purpose in life. And after having such that of a deep spiritual experience of that, it just helped me to hang on and continue on that journey and build something from it. But I got married at 32 and fell into, and you still, even if you have these spiritual or near-death experiences, you still face life and you go through depression. If I hadn't have gone through that, I don't know where I would be. Like I'd probably get into something really bad, like my life could have turned for the worse. Um, but I just kept hanging on, and I met my husband, got married at 32. Didn't know that we'd have a fertility problem, but he does on his end, where we have to get that extracted. And then we have to like get my eggs extracted, egg retrieval, and then we have to do IVF. But the problem is we didn't do that right away. And then I just thought, okay, well, maybe I'll just keep going in life and go to school, like finish school while I'm married. And, women have like a time frame and they don't tell you that. And so I wish we had looked into it sooner. I thought we'd just get pregnant naturally. But so what that happened was I fell into depression again, even though I was happily married. I was just depressed about not getting pregnant. And I went on medications, and it numbed me, and medications, like they stifle your creativity. It will take the depression away, but it really just masks it.
Yeah.
Um, and it's not really solving the problem. Um, and so I wanted to be rid of that. I wanted to um, heal naturally, because I'd been 2 years, and I'm like, well, if I'm going through IVF, I definitely don't want to affect my eggs or whatever. Like, I met a woman who was like, yeah, I've been on depression, and while I was pregnant, and my baby just came out super calm. I don't know if that's good. Like, it needs to cry. It's not good. It's
No, I
not
don't
good.
think so.
Like, yeah, now my kids, like, yeah, oh gosh, don't let me get started. Like, I'm already very familiar with all different traumas, and mothers like sleep training their children, and they're all super calm. I'm like, no, you're creating sociopaths. Don't do it. So anyway, I so I wanted to get off the depression pills, and I just was like, I need to connect back to God again. And I prayed like I did when I was a child, like when I was looking for my pens, because He cares so much. He'd help me find my pens. So I just got into I just wanted to remember when I was a child and I had that connection with God. And I super prayed again. And what happened was, in the morning, I suddenly had this dream. It was a vivid dream. So with that experience, and like my mom's seeing my grandma, it tells you that people, like spirits, can visit you in your dreams. So I had a dream, and I was in a brightly lit up room that looked like a massive sunshine filling the room. And I look over to my left, and I see who I recognize as Jesus Christ. And he was like, there was other people there. And it's almost like I had a glimpse to the other side again. But I was in a dream state. And he was tending to some other people, but then he kept like kind of looking over in my direction. And I just like was like, in awe. And then he started moving over to me, and immediately, telepathically, I say to him, and it was like my higher being self, I say to him, I'm sorry I ever doubted you. And then the next thing I know, he he takes me in his arms, and he swirls me up into the sky. And I awake from this dream. Look at the goosers, the goosebumps that never stop when I tell this. Like, this is legit. You
I
got
see.
video, right? You're getting
Yeah.
video? Okay,
Yeah.
anyway.
Yeah.
I awake, and I have that same radiating, happy, peaceful comfort feeling that I had when I met my grandmother on the other side in the car accident. I had the same feeling of where she was, remember? And
Yep.
that connected me to where I was in the stream. And it just was proof to me that it was more than just a dream. And
It is.
I was really healed by the Savior, because that was a couple years ago, or maybe 3 years now. and I haven't been on the depression pills since.
Yeah. Dolores Cannon.
No.
She did a lot of regressions with people, and she's passed away, but she's done like thousands with people that have passed on and they've gone to past lives and stuff. And one of them, she wrote a book. It was called Walking with Jesus. And there was a lady there who recalled a past life with him. And she said the exact same thing. She said she was sitting on the temple stairs and she
Hmm.
was she was tasked to look after the children. And she was at the
Yeah.
back of the temple because she was a woman. She wasn't allowed to be like the men in the front. And
Yeah.
Jesus came walking up, and the children wanted to run to him. And she said, no, 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 you can't go there. And he said, no, no, let them come. And she said that he almost lifted them all up, and they were pulled up into the air, and they were swirling. Everybody, the
Child.
children.
Oh my gosh.
You see, I got
Look
goosebumps.
at you. Oh, look what you did.
You see,
I got
I'm
goosebumps
telling you,
again.
you
I'm
see,
letting you.
the exact same thing she said, and that was in a regression. And she said she had
What
always
is a
had
regression? What is a regression?
where you go into your past lives, where you can recall who you were in a past life. Because
Oh,
this particular lady, she'd had 4 husbands, and she just couldn't stay married. And this lifetime that she'd met Jesus, she said, being now as a normal mortal human being in this life, she always
mhm.
compared men to him. And she'll never find a perfect man because he's perfect and everybody else like fails. They pale in comparison. And that was what, her learning was. But he actually, yeah, and she said she used to have this pain around her forehead like a band because she wasn't allowed to speak her truth. She wasn't allowed to study or share her knowledge. And that pain actually was lifted. He healed her as well. But while they were up in the sky, and she said it almost felt like they
Oh
were
my goodness.
invisible to everybody.
So the swirling thing is a real thing.
Yes.
That just
Yeah.
confirms it.
Yeah,
That's
absolutely.
amazing.
Well,
And then when I woke, here's the thing. I was like frozen. I was stunned because it's like I'm coming down from it's like a high. It's like a
mhm.
drug high. Like I don't do drugs, but I'm saying like I think that's why people do them because they really need to be touched by Jesus. Anyway, like I couldn't I couldn't talk. Like all I could say, I reached over to my husband, um, and I touched his shoulder and I said, sweetie, Jesus just hugged me. And then he said, I wouldn't doubt it because you were tossing and turning, having nightmares all night long. And I don't remember having nightmares or what, but my husband noticed I was struggling that whole night. And Jesus came and healed me. Like
Yeah,
it's real. It's real.
yeah, it's amazing. And the thing is, it's like you can't, he'll come when you need him. It's,
Mm-hmm.
it's not that I'm even going reaching. It's all of a sudden like he's there. I've also had experiences as well, so I understand. I get it.
And leading up to that, I had another experience. So like with the borderline personality thing, I would get really obsessively attached to past friends that I had. And I had a friend that was moving here to Ogden, where I live, who I went to high school with, who was friends with um, my high school best friend. And it was really triggering for me. And I just felt like I was going to blow it because obviously, because that friend has moved on from me. And it took me like 10 years to get over that friendship. Um, and so yeah, I had been heartbroken um, from that friendship. And I was so I just felt like I'm on eggshells, like this friend, like, because it reminded me of the other friend, because we were all in the same circle of friends. And it was like I did something out of line and she confronted me about it. Like, and then I felt like it was over. I felt like, oh no, I did it again. I ruined another friendship already. Like she just moved here and I already ruined it. So I was sitting in church and I was crying like a downstream of tears, like with my head in my husband's shoulder, just sobbing. And I didn't know that anyone could hear me. They probably could hear me sobbing. Um, but when the when the that first hour was over and we were getting our sacrament meeting, we were getting up to leave, the woman sitting in front of me turned around and said, I feel compelled to tell you that Jesus wanted me to let you know that he is your greatest friend.
Wow.
And I chills again.
Yeah.
And I was like, all of a sudden I was in shock. And to this woman, I'm like, how did you know? Like, how would she know what I was crying about, like over friendships? And then she just repeated it, like all of a sudden she got emotional because she knew I was like, whatever she said to me, she became aware that that was something I needed to hear. And I kind of embraced her with my hand. She put like, we were like embracing each other a little bit. She's like, he wants you to know. She just repeated it, that he's your greatest friend. And she got a little teary eyed. And I was just like, how could you know that? Like, I didn't know what else to say. But it impressed to me that she was like the messenger to let me know. Like, I don't need to worry about friendships and get so hung up, like, because he is my greatest friend.
You know what
And
else?
so so that was
I
like
do.
another little experience.
Absolutely. Well, you'll get confirmation all the time.
Yeah.
It's just noticing the signs. But sometimes I know, especially when you're feeling grief, it's difficult for them to come through. So they'll come through via somebody else who isn't in the grief so that they can relay the message.
That was amazing to me. I'm like, wow, like Jesus just spoke through this woman.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, you know what I'm wondering, because I know you say you were diagnosed as bipolar, but I actually think, or
Borderline.
borderline, sorry.
People
I
get them mixed
actually,
up, but they're
well,
different.
no, you're right. They are different. Um, I'm actually wondering more if it's a codependency thing, because from the,
Yeah, there's several symptoms within that.
yeah,
I
because,
definitely have that. I
yeah,
have yeah, I've endured pretty much every symptom. And when I've gotten in those car accidents, I because I was also in another one, I have what's called disassociation.
mm,
So when trauma is happening to me, like when abuse happened to me as a child,
yeah,
I learned to like check out, like I kind of leave my body in a way. It's like I'm there, but I'm not there because
yeah,
it's trying to protect me from trauma that's about to happen. So like we got in another crazy accident. I could go into that too, because that was another spiritual experience. But yeah, when once we started tumbling down a mountain, like it's a miracle I'm alive again.
yeah,
Uh, I did that thing where I'm like I'm checking out of my body and I don't feel any pain. So now I've gotten to a point where I'm not afraid of death. Like I know you don't feel pain. You can just check out.
yeah, yeah.
So I know that sounds weird, but
No,
that's
yeah, absolutely. But I think
disassociation.
because people that have been through trauma also have an anxious, avoidant attachment style. So it's just
Yeah.
you don't want to
I
connect with people because you've been let down. You can't trust
oh,
people. So of
it's
course you
so
can't
hard.
trust friends. You can't trust people who say they're going to do something. And that boils it down to friendship too, right?
Yeah. And then there's like, yeah, there's a lot of, so then what you end up doing is you start collecting a lot of different friends and you don't want to get too
Yeah.
close to just
Yeah. Because you can't trust them. But again, back to that lady who had four husbands. Nobody
one.
will match up to the perfect men. Nobody will match up because we're all human and we're all having a human experience, and
Oh yeah,
everybody's
that's why.
traumatized just coming here.
Yeah, I think one of my friends, one of my good friends to me today, said that no one has it together. Even
No?
like no matter what age, no one perfectly has it together. Like that's why we're here. If
Yeah.
we had it perfectly together, then we wouldn't need to be here. You know, some people finish their test, their life test early, and they get in, they get out. I could,
Yeah.
so obviously I have a lot of work to do because
I don't know.
you know,
I don't see it that way. I actually think you're here to
yeah.
spread the word, to spread the message,
Oh,
to get other
absolutely. Well,
people.
that's that too.
You know what I mean? It's like more a case of I've
Hmm.
been through these experiences to connect, to know that there's more, to know that there's more to what we see in life. And
Yeah,
the vehicle is your, you know, your purpose could just be the vehicle by which you choose to do that. Whether it's
right.
music, whether it's speaking, it doesn't matter.
Yeah. Yeah, I definitely feel like it's hard for me to get on here. Like I like doing these podcasts because I like talking to a person.
Yeah.
But people who can get on here and talk to the camera and like make post video content, I'm like, how do they do it? I can't get out of my head. Like I need to be talking to someone. Either that or I talk through my music. So that's why I lead people, go check out my songs because I say it all in there. So yeah.
So have you released songs to the public?
Yeah, I do. I'm currently under my full name, Valerie Rose Sterrett. I have like some singles out on Spotify. Um, and yeah, there's some like really catchy, interesting things that I do. Um, People kind of compare me to like, my influences. Like I grew up with, 90s chick rock type music, and I've gotten really into like 60s psychedelic and then I started a band project called Utopian Nightmare. So I don't know, I kind of cross genres with that. Like I'll go vintage and then I'll do like something more operatic metal or something, symphonic metal, but I might just keep it alternative so that I can branch out a little bit more. And so, yeah, I don't put what I can't stand about today's music industry is people just love the F word. Like
Yeah.
it's even in the chorus line, just F everything. And I slip that when I'm driving. I won't lie, I'm guilty. Like when I'm driving, and a little bit of road rage comes out, like it will come out, okay? But I wouldn't intentionally write a song with bad language. Like I love to challenge myself to write deep messages of healing and overcoming and without resorting to bad words and things like that. So I just think it's more of a challenge because it's just becoming more popular and now people are saying, "Oh, that's the way people talk, like every other word the F word." And it's like I I just want to, I just think we could be a little more intellectual. Like,
I agree with you. I think so
be a little
too.
more tasteful, more classy. Like, so that's where I'm trying to go, even though like my image might come across dark, like gothy sometimes, like goth rock, and then I'll write about something really bright and inspiring and so I have like the edgy thing going, but I like to keep it clean and people don't know that. But I do talk about really deep. I talk about abuse and trauma, and so I will go there on a like some of my content, my lyric content can be hard like what not hard but just traumatic. I don't know, just because I've
Triggering,
written what's
triggering,
that?
triggering.
That's the right word. You nailed it. Triggering. Yes. That says it all there.
Yeah.
But yeah, so it can be triggering and emotional because it's relatable, but I don't need to go there with nastiness or words
Well, you're
or
keeping it real.
Yes,
I think like
absolutely.
that was so great about Eminem when he first came out, was he told his story in
Yeah. He'll
lyrics.
put some bad words, but also like I do love like how he raps. Like I think I was kind of inspired by him like back in the day because I'm like he's really very talented. Very
Yeah,
well in his writing. He's writing stories and it's interesting. Like you gotta keep the
yeah.
story.
But the swearing matched his background. I
Oh,
kind of feel
absolutely. Like
like he wasn't
very
just
capable.
swearing for the sake of it. It was just part of the way I would assume he would dialogue normally.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. And that's really cool.
yeah,
Um, yeah, I like I watched an interview with him and his yellow pad and like how he could just rhyme with anything. And like sometimes I won't even rhyme and my mom gets on me about it. She'll be like, "You need to rhyme more." But yeah, no, it's fun. I
what
love
I wonder if he's like got some kind of um, like the new age kids have got autism or that he maybe grew up rhyming everything with for people. It's like the way he'd
yeah.
remember stuff, maybe, almost like a gift.
Yeah, I don't know. Like yeah, they're like they call it the spectrum for a
Yeah,
reason. So
yeah,
I like I mean I've been told I had flattened effect, but I only have flattened effect when I'm talking about trauma because I have the disassociation thing.
yeah,
So it's like and when I get into my own world of creativity, I get lost in it. Like I can be doing that for hours. And so I don't know, I could be on the spectrum too, who knows? I
well,
think
I
they
think.
call it spectrum disorder now or some
Oh,
spectrum
okay.
some.
Yeah, I just see it like, to me, I mean, both my children have got it, so I think um it's a gift. I mean, they're genius in one area, and in other areas they're terrible, you know.
Absolutely.
Like it's just hyper focus in one area of the brain. But anyway, I
Yeah.
think it's also, I mean, it could just be a new age thing that children are coming in with different abilities, like ADD and all of
Oh,
that stuff as well.
like because it's also a superpower.
Yeah,
It's like Superman. It's like you have your kryptonite
yeah,
and then but you also can hyper focus and do genius things.
yeah,
So so I would never downplay any disorder, really. Like even people with bipolar, like music has helped them because music I think it helps you get into that what is it like the you need to get into the frontal cortex of your
yeah.
brain or
The
something like
prefrontal brain. Yeah,
yeah um anything that helps you get there is healing better than what medication can do for you, and that has been music. And like I said, I just got back from a workout. I have to work out. I have to get to a point where my face is red because the blood is pumping up in there.
oh, nice.
So yeah, I know that I have to do that so I can be my better self and then I can help others. Because if
Absolutely.
I'm down in the rut, I can't I can barely help myself. So
Yeah. So
that's what
you've
it's
come off the medication, but now is the
yeah.
depression gone, or do you still have moments where you,
Oh, of
or
course. Like I'm still human. I still have moments where I mean I got the PMS thing. We can't we can't avoid that as a woman. But
yeah,
yeah,
is
you
that?
have your emotional ups and downs, your hormones. You just got to monitor them, and the best thing to do is like get out and go for a run, like go be out in nature, be in the moment with um the beautiful things God has created. Or if you have like I have my hairless cats, they're like emotional support. So I that was my goal. Like I'm like I want to do all things because I felt like when I go to the therapy, when I talk to my therapist and things like that, I'm like I don't know, like I still feel like I haven't given a chance to do all the things I could be doing to to get there naturally, to feel to overcome my feelings of depression or grief or whatever I'm going through naturally. And what I know has helped, swimming. When I'm holding my breath for long periods of time underwater, that has helped me. And because I was a diver, but I also love to swim. Um, doing my music, running, even cooking, like even doing anything creative that
Yeah.
gets my mind away from whatever thing I'm going through at the time. Um, it just helps me be my better self, and I want to be my better self because when I had those near death experiences, I was my better self automatically without doing those things. All of a
Yeah.
sudden, you feel what you could be. You feel like the most loving, peaceful, happy person you could be. And then you realize, you know what? I have some things at home I need to work on. I have this addiction or whatever I'm dealing with. I need to overcome and then come back here and feel that, come back to the other
Yeah.
side.
Well,
So I
this is the
think,
thing.
yeah,
When you go to the other side, everything's beautiful and perfect. But as soon as you come back, you carry on where you left off. So to
right?
me, it's almost like you want to integrate all those parts of you that you left behind. So
Mm-hmm.
like when you
It's a
experience
wake up
trauma,
call.
yeah, exactly. So when you experience trauma, a part of you kind of gets uh, dissociated, and that part of you is what's causing the pain. Is that part wants to come back and be integrated again. And
Right.
that's like inner child work, and maybe that's a good place to start. I mean, start with your own inner child.
Oh, like everyone needs to go back to the roots of their childhood. My sister's a nurse, so we have these conversations. She said she could. Oh shoot, I can't remember the title of the author, but she said, "Get back to your childhood self before the diagnosis, before the depression, before the traumas." Because and then I think about that and I'm like, and I sit and I start meditating when I was a child, and I'm like, when I was a child I was running through the back hills of my house. I was free. I was running endless summers, like laughing and running through the grassy hills, and we go on adventures, and I'm like, why am I not doing that now? Because life jades you, it bogs you down. It's
Yeah,
like, hey, what were you doing as a child before you went through all this stuff that jaded you? Do that. I was painting. I was very musically inclined. I was doing all the things. So now I am trying to reconnect to the innocent child before all those things.
yeah.
I mean,
Well,
unfortunately, part of my trauma started when I was 4, but there was a time like when I was, in between in those ages, where I had moments of being free and happy as a child, and I try to get back to those moments.
what I've come to start seeing lately is that people, a lot of especially the women that I work with, because they've had trauma, and they all say to me they want to go back to the person they were before they got married or met the guy. And the thing is, you
Aw.
can never be back to that person because you've grown. You're not
Oh
that
yeah,
person, and then you were innocent, and now you've lost that innocence. You can't go
yeah,
back, and innocence is also ignorance or naivete. So
right.
if you now say I've replaced that with wisdom, so
Okay,
so would I not rather want the wisdom? What can I learn from that? But
yeah,
still, the joyousness of abandon. We're too scared to abandon ourselves to something. Like people
yeah,
don't, if they go on holiday, they're thinking of work. And then they're at
right.
work and they're thinking of holiday. Nobody's really fully in wherever they're supposed to be. And that's the part I think that people are missing, is that
Yeah,
a child is fully engaged in whatever she's doing when she's young, or he. If
yeah,
they're looking at a bug, it's everything. If they're looking at the sky, it's everything. And that's, more about being lost in the wonder of being present in the now. And it's not about the past. It's
Yeah.
about the
But
now.
you
This,
can take those moments,
yes,
and because now that I've healed, it's like now I have this armor on me. If
yes,
obviously if I were to face, the traumas and things I felt in the army because I was dealing with aggressive, nasty men
yep,
that were sexually harassing me on it. If I could take, you ever say this, if I could take this wisdom brain with me and go back and then change that,
yeah,
like, and not get into that mess or whatever, like, you wish you could do that, but you can't. But what you can do is move forward. And if you face a conflict, now you have the tools
yeah,
to handle. Now you're not as anxious, like, because that's one of the things, like, I was hard for me in the work and working my working life is the whole, like, can I talk to you for a moment? Or people, when they leave messages on your phone or something, like, hey, we need to talk, like, it's the most anxious thing.
it
Don't do
is
it.
the confrontation. It's
Yes,
feeling the
just
confrontation.
say, just talk to me when you see. Don't make me wait to
Yeah,
schedule a time with you. I don't know. So that's one of the anxious, but I have the tools now to handle it. Like I don't let that, like, scare me anymore, or because
yeah.
I've been through all of that.
You think,
I've been through worse traumas than, can I talk to you for a second? It's like, sure, yeah, we can talk. Like, don't
yeah,
be afraid of,
you've been to Afghanistan, you can talk on the phone.
right?
So, do you think going to the army was part of your healing? Because it's almost like you gained the tools there. If you can engage in combat, whether you did or not, with the intention to know that you can confront somebody.
It's kind of wishy-washy because there was just some weird things going on in the military that I was a part. It was like before the Me Too movement happened, because there were things happening that were getting swept under the rug, and I would fight for it. I was one of those women. We go out to Afghanistan. I'm wondering if they changed this. I still have yet to look into it because I was going to write a letter to, like, Congress. We go out to Afghanistan, and they're assigning us the tents, and they said, okay, there's obviously the ratio of men to women in the military is very sparse. Like, it's like for every 5 males, it's a female. So it's a
Yeah,
majority male. I don't know what it is today, but this was 20 years ago. And so we have a tent with 30 males and 4 females. 30, like a giant tent that we're going to be sleeping in. And I confronted the sergeant, the staff sergeant, and I said, this goes against my morals and faith. I cannot sleep in a tent with all males. Like, and she's up in a tent with, like, the female sergeants or whatever. I'm like, what? That's not fair. But
no,
you're going to put all the soldiers with mixed gender, which matters, by the way. It
yeah,
matters
yeah,
because she turned to me and said, we're all one here. We're all one soldier. We're not changing that. So deal with it. Once you're in the battlefield, we're all one. I get that.
yeah,
But now I'm waking up every morning being sexually harassed, having guys stare me up and down. Their wives are sending them pornography because they don't want them to cheat, which I found there were some cheaters happening. Um, and that's traumatic. Like, I'm waking up to that every morning. So my brain goes into survival mode. And then I'm like, well, then I'm going to pick the meanest alpha male here because I'd rather have one alpha male boyfriend than have 30. Like, all of a sudden you go into
yeah,
survival mode. You're out in the desert. Then
yeah.
have be harassed by several males all at once.
Yeah.
And so I did that. I
Well,
don't know why I did it. I didn't want to do it, but I did because I felt like I couldn't survive. And there were women getting raped. Most of them came back pregnant. Like I mean, it's just like any industry.
yeah,
The thing coming out about Nickelodeon, the military too, the
yeah.
airlines actually, pilots cheating with, I hear it all. Pilots cheating with the stewardess, um, men in power and positions are, hooking up with vulnerable females, and I witnessed all of it. But that was why I knew I couldn't handle it. That's why I approached the sergeant. I'm like, I'm not going to survive this. Eventually, I'm going to be in a relationship I don't want to be in.
Well, it sounds like you knew what you were doing because that was the right choice
I
under the
don't know, that was
circumstances.
not the right choice,
Under the
but
circumstances. Under the
but you don't have
circumstances.
much choices.
This, you
I
understand? It's
thought,
the best of all the evils out there.
yeah, it was like I picked my poison and I went with it, and they couldn't, because they counted it as a relationship, I couldn't report it as anything. Like I told them multiple times, no, I'm stuck in this. Like I don't want to be in this relationship. I just felt like I just kind of it just kind of happened. Um but it's like, I mean, that's what you're really gaining from the experiences is relationships
Yeah,
and people in a tight knit scenario, culture, and survival mode. Like, and that could be any industry. I could have gone into the music industry because that's where I should have been, or or like the Nickelodeon, like the film industry, because I do film also. Um, and when it's tight knit, when there's a lot of people working closely together, and some are like, things are going to go down
yeah, absolutely.
because it becomes a little savage when they don't have a lot of choices and options and things to keep them busy in the world, but to be in your everyday space, things are going to happen
Yeah, I'm
because
sure.
we're human, we're animals, we're a species, you know.
Well, I mean, you're
And
dealing with men that are in their 18 to 25-year-old virile state.
yes,
They're highly
I was like a
highly
vulnerable.
hormonal.
I'm going into the military with already traumatic experiences, with already being molested as a 4-year old, with my dad being obnoxiously, verbally, physically abusive. I hope he
Yeah,
doesn't watch this, but doesn't matter. I think my point was I could have gone anywhere. It could have been college, and
correct.
I would have been it with the frat boys. You know what I mean? Like it could have been any tight knit culture. I'm a vulnerable female with trauma.
Yeah,
Yeah, you're subjected to all the abusers out there. Like you're already going in, but as I was going through it, I'm learning. I'm learning from it. I'm progressing. I'm learning I don't want that lifestyle. I'm
yeah,
learning, oh no, I need to get back to God. If I didn't never had that foundation of God, I would probably be on drugs, an alcoholic. My aunt is an alcoholic. I like if I didn't have I think it's important for parents to raise your children in some kind of moral value system, whether it's faith or if you, some kind of something, because the those childhood years are so precious, and obviously because trauma was happening to me as a child, I'm going to attract it as an adult,
yeah.
you know. But I also had some foundation of God in there too. So then you take all that with you as an adult. You're very fragile and sensitive as a child. You absorb it all as a sponge, and you take that with you into adulthood. Now we're adults trying to heal that child so that we can be our better selves, you
Yeah.
know. So that's what it comes down to. Us, I mean, the purpose of life, as
Mm.
you said, helping others get back to God. We need to heal ourselves to be our better selves so that we can be in a position to help others. And
Yeah.
I think that's the message, you know.
And make a better generation because
Yeah.
hurt people. And if you think of what your parents went through with their parents, it's getting
Oh,
better with each generation.
I hope
And
so.
I think it's becoming exponential. The world's really just waking up of late.
I do think it's good that I didn't have children when I wasn't ready to address my traumas because I still have PTSD. I still have like nightmares of me being that abusive parent. And I'm in therapy and I'm like, could never dream of hurting a child like the way I was hurt, and, but that's been years of therapy and me coming to self like awareness
Yeah.
of my actions and how I come across. And even with my husband, like, certain things, traumas creep out, and then I hurt his feelings or whatever, and then it devastates me and I'm like, oh my gosh. Like, so I'm preparing, I don't know when or if I'll be a parent, but I'm preparing for that because yeah, one of my songs, the first line was, when we were young, we learned to trust our mamas and let everyone treat us the same. Now we're deep in our childhood traumas. And if I've hurt you, it's coming from that pain. So that's one of my latest song called Paranoia.
Mm,
Um,
that's really
that
good. That's really deep.
yeah.
And it's true. It's true. And I think that's what people don't understand is when somebody's fighting or belittling, whatever it is that they're doing, they're actually just expressing their own pain. It has nothing to do with you. Absolutely nothing. But as a child, you're defenseless against it, and they'll pick on you, and that's the problem that I have. It's like, if you're going to pick on someone your own size. And now you walk your whole adult life. I say it's kind of biased where you spend what maybe say 15 to 20 years at home, and then you spend the next 50 years trying to heal those years. It's
Right.
not you know what I mean? So at some point you've got to
We
say
can just
enough.
get it right sooner, then
Yes.
we can have better families.
Because you
We
take it
can have better
that gets
family
put
dynamics.
down, yeah, goes to your children who then also were born into an unhealed situation to their children again. And you can't,
But I think with every generation, like you said,
yeah,
they try to learn from the parent before what not to do.
yes, absolutely.
They try to
And
be a
and I
little bit.
yeah, and I mean I've seen some horrendous things going on in the world, but I also see a lot of good parenting. A lot of people are conscious
Absolutely.
parenting. Yeah.
I don't see a lot of what we grew up in with the whole corporal punishment, because I was whipped, beat, like you
Yeah.
name it, with twigs, spatulas, belts. And I'm like, I don't see that in this generation. People are learning to discipline without all that. And I'm like,
Yeah.
that's interesting because, like, you wouldn't, I mean, like, if we go way back, men were hitting their wives, but in our generation, like, no, that's not, if that's not called for, if that's uncalled for, then why would it be okay to hit your kid? And
Exactly.
so, I mean, I see variations of it. Like, when my cat, the cat mom, when she ran out into the street, I did pat her bum a little bit, but I said, no, no, but not in a way that would hurt her, in a way, but it was my cat.
Yeah.
But so I do see variations that I think there, but I think there's like a line. you know.
Absolutely.
I think there's a
Well,
line because like
the thing is, it's sometimes children, how do you learn? You learn through experience. Maybe you did put your
yeah,
finger in the plug, but you already had the experience of what it felt like. You didn't need the hiding as well.
yeah.
It's more a case of the teaching
When
that
it's when
goes
the
along with
parent
it.
what I grew up in was when my parents instead of like, spanking us like if I ran out into the street, it was more like if I did something that upset them, they get angry and then they take their anger out.
Yes,
And
exactly.
then that, yeah, and I don't agree with
Inappropriate.
that.
No, it's
No,
inappropriate. They're having a bad day and the kid got in the
yeah,
way. Kid gets a
yeah,
smack because you're meant to be seen, not heard.
exactly.
Go to your room.
So yeah, if we correct that problem, I see beautiful things for the future generation,
So
you
where
know.
can people find your music and maybe connect with you?
Yeah, I mean, uh and I have many that I'm working on studio albums right now because I do have a spiritual one. It's called Spiritually Unknown. That has, but it's not out yet. So I'm progressively working on all of that. Um, but yeah, my full name is Valerie Rose Sterrett. So I just kind of, because I had so many band names like going in and out, and then I finally found a band name that was not taken, Utopian Nightmare. So right now it's still a baby project in the works. There's just one song on there called Ghost of My Past, which I'm probably gonna remaster, remix it anyways. So it's all still in the works, but you can see quite a bit of my solo work under Valerie Rose Sterrett or Val Rose. Like I collaborate with people with that name. Um, like on all the socials like YouTube, I have Instagram and I know people like Spotify, but I'm still determining what to do there because it's not really good for artists. Um, they don't pay them. They pay them nickels and dimes. So, but I'll have work on there. I'll have my music and stuff on there on all the platforms, like whatever you like to listen to, or just find me on YouTube or Instagram or
Yeah,
it's cool.
awesome.
Yeah.
So do you have a message for our viewers before we go?
Um, I mean, I feel like the message was said,
Yeah, you did say it earlier. Mhm.
you know, I don't know, because with all my experiences, like I'm still figuring it out. I'm still trying to achieve these dreams of like the balance of like you have like a balance like of what you want to do in your life, but then you also got to balance family, like put that priority because the modern women of today and what I was raised like, yeah, go chase your dreams, your career, your education, and put family on the back burner. But they didn't tell me my eggs were going to expire like mid 30s. I thought because here's the thing with women, I don't know why this is the message. Um we're not all created equal with our fertility. There because I'm seeing women like having kids in their 40s, or they go through a surrogate but some of their natural eggs still work into their 40s, but that's not the case for me. But I'm still trying, I'm still going to try to be that mama. But yeah, I mean, the overall, sorry, I like the overall message is, yeah, just like get right with God and your priorities in life. And I just, and yeah, I mean, with everything that I've gone through, like, I know I truly believe in the afterlife. I know that our ancestors are on the other side as our guardian angels. Like, there's a bigger picture here. it's not just this life and then blink and then it's like goes all black and then it's over. It's like, no, there's more to progress, after this life. Like, I mean, I don't personally believe in the past lives thing. I think we go on and we progress, um, but it's all beautiful. It's like whatever you believe, it's all beautiful, and as long as it all connects back to God, and there is a Savior, there's Jesus Christ, and in my faith, we believe they're separate beings, but one in purpose. But yeah, there's different people believe differently, but it's all important and all encompassing, and we're just here as to grow, to learn and grow from our experiences, and to help people that have fallen down along the way, help them up, because like you might have some years on them that you could, you know, help them. I feel like, you've helped me with your wisdom. So we're all in this together, basically.
Well, that's
Yeah,
the point, right? To me, it's no longer about competition, it's about collaboration. It's it's,
absolutely.
it's if we can lift everybody up, we become raised in vibration as a collective, instead of someone trying to push somebody else down to get on top. And that's not how it
Right.
works. If I think when you
No.
die and you do your life review, they don't say how well did you do, how many people did you push down. They say
Mm,
how many people did you help?
you uplift.
How much good did you do in the world? You know, they
Right.
don't say how much money did you make and what titles did you get, because it's irrelevant at the end of the day.
Oh yeah, I'm too tired to pursue all that. I'm too tired in life. I'm just trying to pursue like anything higher up, you know what I mean? Like being a high career woman or something. Like, no, I just take it as it comes, and I work hard. I like doing my little jobs here and there, my sound tech job, my music. So
Yeah.
I just try now. I'm trying. You know what life is for me now? Here's another message. Um, Trying to make more time. Just trying to have more time. You feel like you're losing it, because I feel like when I was in my early 20s, I had more energy. I was working 3 jobs. I was working graveyard, and then I'd sleep and then work an afternoon job. And then I had like another job. Like I was working like 3 jobs at once at one time, where I wasn't sleeping or very much. Um, and I was like a zombie, but I just thought, I don't know why I was doing it, but
Well,
I feel like people try to do too much, put too much on their plate. And I felt like I was doing that even into my 30s. Like I got into a habit where I was just trying to balance like so many plates. And then I missed my fertility window. No. So, so I just feel like life is a balance. And now it's like I try to find more time and keep things simple, keep your bills low and keep so that you don't have to make a ton of money to compensate. Try to minimalize as much as you can so that you can be more one with, nature and God, and be your higher self.
yeah,
So yeah, I try to have more time in my
yeah,
life, and I work like temp jobs. Like I'll do temp and then take a break and then focus on working out and music, and then I go back into the IVF thing because I'm a benefits chaser. Like I'll work the job to get the health benefits, because our healthcare is shot. It's hard enough to get basic healthcare in the
yeah.
US. We have a really difficult system here. So that's what I do. And
I
I
like
just try
it.
to.
I like
You
it.
like it?
Yeah, I love it actually. Well, because the point is, we spend so much time doing, we forget to be.
Hmm.
It's just about being. People are always rushing to get to work, rushing to get home, rushing to sit on their cell phones and, and chasing the dream.
Yeah, and it's okay to chase the dream, but also remember your priorities. And
Yeah.
you could have it all, but you don't need to have everything. You know what I mean? You could have a balance of a good life, of a little of this and a little of that. But you don't want to have a lot of this and a lot of that and you know,
Well, I
you know.
find, I mean, you can collapse time. Time is,
Yeah.
you can slow it down and speed it up depending on where your mind is at. 'Cause I remember my Latin classes at school. Those were months long. Those 1 hour lessons were torture.
It's torture what we put ourselves through to get to the next place. What
Yeah.
do you do for a living, by the way? Like, what are you, like a therapist or?
Yeah. I'm a coach, a transformational coach. And
Awesome.
yeah, I specialize in women who've left abusive relationships
Well, here
and
I
and
am.
especially the spiritual side of it.
Wow. What led you, now I'm curious, like what led you to want to do all that?
Well, personally, I've had one after the other abusive relationships since I can remember. And the last one I had, my ex-husband, was grooming my 6-year-old daughter,
Was doing
and
what?
he was grooming her. So she was
Oh,
6 years old when I found out, and I trusted him. I thought we had this happy family, and it turned out that he was, and it was very traumatic. But her father was actually a sociopath, and he was into demonology, which I didn't know until I was pregnant. So
well,
I had him harassing me, threatening me for 9 years after I left him. So my husband at the time was kind of protecting us from this guy. So now I had two of them. And I ended up letting my daughter stay with her father because I couldn't fight the two. I was like stuck between them and I had to shoot the hostage. And I was always there. I was always seeing her, but she would have gone to foster care based on all the allegations and everything that we'd done. And I thought to myself, I'm going to use this time that I'm not got her anyway. It's still her father for whatever, however bad it is, to find out why I keep attracting these kind of guys. So that's what I did. And it took me 7 years to get out of that relationship,
did any
just
of
to
that,
totally disentangle myself from it. Say that again.
did any of that come from any childhood trauma? Like why you
Um,
got in
yeah,
kind of,
I was my sister was very, uh, she was my taunter, my tormentor,
aw,
and she just hated me. And I think my dad was very volatile, and my mom was too scared to step in. So I never had support. I never had backup. So I never had any kind of like hardcore abuse or anything like that. But it was a lot of verbal abuse, a lot of belittling, a lot of undermining, sarcasm, emotional torment. Emotions were not discussed. You could talk about what you did at school. So having great grades is awesome because that's a way to achieve. But
yeah,
emotionally, we don't talk. So it was like living two lives because you have to sit at the dinner table and act like you're fine and you're happy in case you get belittled. But inside, you're like experiencing a whole different world. So, of
well,
course, I'm going to meet guys like this, people that show me that I have low self worth.
and that's the biggest thing. That was an aha moment for me because a friend told me one day, she's like, if you love yourself enough, you wouldn't put up with that.
That's
And
it.
I'm like, why
That's
didn't
it.
I?
That's it. You know what? I'm
Why didn't I?
busy.
I'm like, I
Exactly.
didn't love myself.
I am
I didn't
busy.
love myself. I could have walked
Exactly.
away.
Exactly. And that's what all these ladies are experiencing. And I say ladies, most of them are women. Some are men, but most are women. And my new book, which I'm working on, is Raise Your Standards.
Yep. I
Because you're
love it.
putting up with people that are emotionally immature
Right.
and they don't take responsibility, they don't take accountability. You, on the other hand, are hyper vigilant, you're a people pleaser, You'll never let someone down. You're loyal to a fault, so you won't let them down because you know what it felt like to get let down, even
Oh
though the
my,
person treats you like absolute crap. So no, I know it inside out. But I decided I'm going to learn from that instead of finding another partner and going through
Mhm.
it all over again. And I used to say to myself, I'd rather my daughter go to her dad than that I kill myself because I was suicidal. And it's better that she has a mother on the over here than no mother at all.
How old is she now?
She's 28, so no,
And
we've
how
come a
is
long
she?
way. How is
Did
she doing
she,
now?
did her dad do something to her? Did he do
No,
anything?
he messed with her mind and her emotions
But he
totally.
didn't
I mean,
like touch
no, he
her
didn't.
or
No, he didn't. He wasn't like that. He was more physically controlling. Used to hold her
yeah.
by the neck and, make her rub his feet and stare at her and tell her to stop lying. And meanwhile, he's manipulating. He was actually, she left
There's
home at
no
17.
need. Oh my
No,
gosh. When I
no, no.
when I got away from that, you realize you're like all of a sudden you're in like a peaceful place,
Yeah,
like living with other people or whatever, and you're like, "What? You mean I didn't need to we didn't that's not necessary?"
yeah,
You
yeah,
realize that that is not necessary
yeah,
to treat your family members like that.
yeah,
There, it's not necessary. There's no, you know, because that's what normal was to me
yeah.
growing up. I that was like
That's
normal,
all you know.
being in a hostile, volatile environment. And then once I got away from it and I'm living in a different household, I'm like, wow, you mean, wow, it doesn't need
Yeah,
to be like that. It's
no,
just a crazy realization.
yeah. But it's all you know. It's all you know. So you've got nothing to compare it to.
Which
Yeah,
was
so
what
she's
made
all
me
right.
afraid of getting married because I'm like, I don't want to continue that if that's
Well,
how the
well, if you're going to
household
keep,
needs to be.
if you don't heal your childhood, you're going to keep attracting those men over
Yeah,
and over and over again. And they can be the most sweetest person you've met in the beginning, but in the end, they're all the people that will fulfill the prophecy of you being anxious avoidant.
right. And
Because
I
you're so,
was. I
yeah,
was like for a long time.
yeah,
It actually took God because when I moved here to Utah, I prayed for like 12 because I was attracting those men over and over. I'm like,
yeah,
they're all like my dad.
yeah,
They're
that's
all
it.
abusive and hostile. And so I prayed nonstop to God for the whole 12-hour drive. I nonstop talked to God. And I said, God, I need you to guide me. I can't do this on my own. I'm not in a position to make the right choice because I don't. So
Yeah,
I need you to take the wheel. Jesus, take the wheel
yeah,
and guide me in my life. And then he guided me right to my husband. And my husband he is the sweetest, most Christ-like person I've ever met.
yeah.
He's so sweet. It exists. It's
It
hard
does.
and it's limited as you get older, but it's out there.
It does. I agree. And the thing
And
is,
even if not in this life,
yeah,
you'll be blessed with it
yeah.
in the hereafter. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
No, no, you continue. So, yeah, I mean, if you think divorces are initiated by women, so there's a lot of
It is
more
statistically.
toxic masculinity in the world. So the chances of meeting a good guy is a lot less for a woman than it is for a man meeting a good woman. Just as statistically.
Well, you got to find that 3%, the
Well,
small percent.
the thing is,
Where are they? Where are they hiding?
well, you
I
know what? They are in plain sight, but I think when you're used to drama, you're going to be attracted to the drama. And the good guy is not drama. He might
no,
feel too boring. He
he's
might
kind
come
of
across as
boring.
too
Yeah.
soft or too weak or too whatever.
My husband is that way. He at first I was like, I'm not used to like it. I felt like I had to be the I was more drama in the beginning because because those guys rubbed off on me.
Yes.
They
Yeah.
you know. Um So I'm like the emotionally abusive one, unfortunately, but I catch myself and I hold my husband. I say it's coming from my trauma. I just need you to know. But anyways, like he's the sweetest, and he doesn't come from that kind of trauma, like a little bit, but it's not. His parents weren't like abusive. They were just they're a generational thing. They still have they come with their things,
Yeah.
that that still affects you. But I mean, and still, like he and I are not perfect, but I feel like we were meant to be together. Like we're perfect together through God. Like God, you have to have a foundation of some kind of spiritual, moral something, even if you
Yeah.
don't believe, because that's what is going to hold it together through the
Yeah.
hard times.
Exactly. And that's exactly what it's about. It's like you can't trust people, but you can trust God.
Yeah.
And that's I call it your internal guidance system. You always are looked after. There's always a higher force that's driving you. If you just step aside and allow it to do it, you will land up in the right place. But we second guess it. When you meet someone toxic, there are flags. There are red flags, and you disregard them. And you don't trust your
So
judgments.
now I run. I'm like, what? Like that's why I wish you could take your brain back in time. But yeah, now when there's toxic energy, any kind of toxic man or woman, and you can feel that coming from a mile away, you're just like, all right, see ya.
Yeah.
You can you can do your thing over there. I'll be far that way.
Yeah.
Because you start attracting more positive people in your life,
That's it.
and then they raise everything,
That's
your
it.
energy.
And that's the thing. That's what you came here to learn. That's the empowerment part. That's the
Yeah.
part where you learn to have boundaries. And it's not boundaries as in don't talk to me like that. It's in knowing what you will put up with and what you'll settle for. Like I
Yeah.
will never go back to that. I will never settle for less. And anybody that says you're picky or you're selfish with your time or you whatever, I say thank you. I feel honored to
It's
say that.
better to be single and just live your best self, your most beautiful life, than settle. Like,
No
no.
worries. No.
No.
Won't happen
No.
anymore.
It's beautiful to be single and be in a healing place of empowerment and peace. And anyone who comes into your life who'd be lucky enough to come into your life, it would be the icing on the cake. They have to be that peace with you. It can't, no,
Yeah.
it doesn't, it can't go south like that. Because your body at this point, your body it has a clock of itself, like, or what is it? It remembers. Your
Yeah.
body physically cannot handle it. The anxiety, like
Yeah.
I physically cannot handle that kind of negativity or toxic. So like when I went to Starbucks to chase the benefits for IVF, I had a toxic manager, and I'm like, yeah, I'm in and out of this.
Yeah.
I like I'm fine because I have a shield, but I would break down. Like that guy would make me cry, and I'm like, because I was afraid he's gonna fire me at any moment because he was so mad, and I'm like, no, I need this job for the benefits, so I have to stay. Otherwise, I'd be running. I'd be like, that's fine. I don't need it,
Yeah.
So it's like,
Yeah.
yeah, you can't. Mm-mm.
Yeah. And that's it. You
Phys-
have to get to a point where you say, I don't care how much you're offering. It's not worth me. It's not worth losing myself and my inner peace over this.
oh yeah, that's why like all the people at Nickelodeon, like they felt they had to deal with that. What's his name? Dan. I can't even. I sometimes I tune out names when they're not a good person. Um, they felt like they had to put up with him because they didn't want to lose their jobs. They're like,
Yeah.
oh, I kind of need this. I need to be here. I want to become a superstar. Like I kind of need this to get my foot in the door. So a lot of people force themselves to be in that environment. But I'm like, no need.
No, no, walk away.
No
Turn the other
need.
cheek.
Exactly.
Yeah. Awesome. All right. Well, thank you so much again. And
You're welcome.
it was lovely to get to know your story. Lovely to get to know you.
Yeah, thank you so much. Like, thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, you're welcome.
You have a wonderful day.
You too.
I get so excited, I get so excited. I get so excited when I think of you. Early in the morning, feeling all the feels. Head up on your chest with your hand in mine. Cuddle until sunrise, listening to your heart. I'm so lucky I can call you husband. I get so excited, I get so excited. I get so excited when I think of you. I get so